literally solving people's problems, and they are deliberately not listening. It's not how I present the information they should use. My tonality is just fine. It's almost as if they won't listen because they know I'm right. And I want to prove, and they want to prove I'm wrong by not giving me the respect. I feel the majority of people see me as lesser, not worthy of respect or listening to, even though I use such obvious logic. These people continuously try to exercise power over me defiantly. An extreme, non-influential presence, even with logic, tact, respectfulness. No one wants to listen to me. People just refuse to even respectfully move out of the way when I'm trying to get around them. Not even strangers, people I live with. I don't understand what it is about me that most people don't respect. Everyone seems to have the attitude to defy or oppose everything I say. No matter the circumstances, whether I'm trying my best to lead, give advice, etc., people won't listen to me. They won't get behind me. I lack so much influence, it's not funny. I try, but to no avail. It's a rough situation, right?
Yes.
I feel for the individual in that situation. I feel, I think, imagine the frustration that you feel being in that position where you just, no one's listening to you. That being said, we have a situation here where you can see a lot of it is based on everyone else's problems and not mine. So it starts off, everything I say falls on deaf ears. So even that statement right there, out of the gate, it's not what I'm saying. It's that they are deaf. So that right there is just, we're opening salvo is, you're not listening to me. Then I try to give advice when asked, or if someone is in trouble and they don't listen to sound advice. Again, whose fault is that? I'm giving you sound advice, and everyone else, they're not listening. Continues on. Then I try to get them to listen to someone else that might have more credibility, an author or podcaster, philosopher, and they still won't listen. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I wonder what that sounds like, right?
Yes,
I imagine that it sounds something like, Hackworth says the exact same thing as me, or you might want to listen to some Sam Harris. Because if you listen to some Sam Harris, you listen to some Tim Ferriss, you'll see the light on this. Mm-hmm. Meaning, I'm over here, I already see the light.
Right.
You might want to check out the light with me. Or Marcus Aurelius he's a good reference point. One of the classic Stoics. You might want to check him out. So I feel like there's a little, you're just bolstering your opinion by offering other people that you agree with. Mm-hmm. And now it's supposed to give it clout. It's kind of the feeling I get a little bit. Gotcha. Okay, continuing on. Then they try their hardest to make what solutions I'm trying to give doesn't apply to them because of X, Y, Z, all excuses. And again, now instead of saying, hey, what way am I explaining these that people have got perfect solutions, allegedly, which again, that's a huge assumption, is that my solutions are freaking perfect and they just won't listen. But instead of saying that, it's like, oh, maybe my solutions, number one, aren't that great, or number two, maybe I'm not explaining them that very well. But none of this is my fault. It's their fault, and they're just making excuses. It's not on me. And then it continues, almost as if they are too good to implement the advice because it came from me and me alone. And this is where you start to hear that. This is where I start to get a little bit of a sense of the mindset of the individual. Because the individual's perception that that people don't like or people don't respect them, the individual, it causes that individual to act in ways that that individual doesn't even perceive themselves. So what shows through, again, intent has a smell. What shows through is frustration. What shows through is resentment. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Resentment shows through. You can't hide resentment. Annoyance. When you're annoyed that people aren't listening to you, it shows through. Arrogance shows. When you think you have the perfect solution and that's how you're coming across, that's how you're talking to people, that shows through. And so that perception that people don't like me, that perception that people are looking down on me, that perception that you have of yourself shows through and it comes across in a bad way. The next sentence, literally solving people's problems and they are deliberately not listening. Again, none of this has to do with me. None of it has to do with my solutions themselves. None of it has to do with any of that. They just don't like me. It's their fault. And by the way, in doing that, we have to assume that these people are just going to fail because they're not listening. So I would rather fail than listen to Fred here. And then this is just, it's not how I present the information they should use. My tonality is just fine. Right? This is not my fault. My tonality is fine. Like the way I'm presenting. Look, I'm presenting this in the most just beautiful way.
Yeah.
It's not on me. It's not my fault. My tonality is actually perfect. The way I present my ideas is so good. Next sentence. It's almost as if they won't listen to me because they know I'm right. And they want to prove I'm wrong by not giving me the respect. All kinds of insecurity issues right there. All kinds of insecurity, and that insecurity comes across. And it doesn't come across as like, Echo's kind of insecure, but will listen. No, it comes across as you're overcompensating by a long shot. And by the way, it's almost as if they won't listen to me because they know I'm right. I mean, that's just crazy talk, right? Mm-hmm. How many times, Echo Charles, yes. How many times have you heard me say, I know I'm right?
None.
And there's some things that I'm pretty knowledgeable about.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's some things that I'm pretty knowledgeable about. And how many times have I don't even know what this guy does for a living. Let's say maybe, there's no telling. But even a master of something shouldn't say, I know I'm right. And by the way, this is like starting to get into the, hey, everyone is against me. Not only that, the whole world, everyone that I deal with, they all don't listen to me. What is wrong with everyone else, right? This isn't even like, hey, look, you and I had a little disagreement. I'm going to take ownership of it and just say it's my fault. No, this is everyone.
Yeah.
I feel the majority of people see me as lesser, not worthy of respect or listening, even though I use such obvious logic. Now this is where I start to feel like sympathy, right? Like, because now you got this bad, low self-esteem, low self-opinion, and when you see yourself as lesser, then you start to overcompensate for it. Many people start to overcompensate, and they start to try and act like, they start to say things like, I use obvious logic.